Well, ladies and gentlemen, the preliminary discussions are over here in the FanStreamSportsOhio.com studios. I'm Tim May, along with Clay Hall. This is the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall. I got that mixed up with something else we do, Clay, but we're doing a lot of things for two guys who are semi-retired, right?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, man, thanks for being back with us again, ladies and gentlemen, across the nation and around the world. This is the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, and we're going to talk about a few things, but we're mainly going to talk to one fellow in particular in this show. I interviewed Johnny Dixon, who's out with a co-authored book about PTSD and other challenges that he faced in his career, along with a former United States Marine Corps veteran. They got to know each other just by happenstance and found out they had so much in common when it came to dealing with physical challenges in their lives, their careers, whatever you want to call it, along with the mental anguish that comes with a lot of those things, the mental challenges. And so we're going to get to that in just a few minutes. But
that's compelling.
Yeah, it is compelling. I mean,
like your tease there.
Yeah, but it is compelling. It's a book called Johnny. JOHN apostrophe Y apostrophe IE. Pretty nice. It's doing extremely well in the sales department, the way I understand it. And Johnny Dixon, who we knew as a wide receiver at Ohio State, who we also knew as I knew in one of my podcasts earlier, and as a photographer. Stories I did on him while he was one of my favorite players ever. And I know I say that about almost everybody I interview, but it's true. A lot of these guys are really interesting young men if you really get to know them. And the challenges he faced physically with his knees, he could not play, he could not run and not feel pain for so long. And then as he puts forth in our interview, Adam Stewart, the renowned physical therapist, for want of another term, working in the Ohio State training room, found a way to get him back on the field at the urging of Urban Meyer, who would refuse to give up on Johnny Dixon, both the player and the person. And so you'll hear Johnny Dixon talk about that. It's pretty cool. That's nice. And then we've got you and I occasionally, when we're on location, why not shoot something, right? So we shot about 17, 18 minutes for the latter part of this show, you and I standing there at the Ohio State lacrosse stadium, which I think is a really nice facility. You agree?
Very cool. It's a great, I kept telling Nick Myers, it's too small. But you get everybody packed in there, and it's a heck of an atmosphere.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, of course, Nick Myers probably mad at us because all we talked about was football as we stood there. We tried to find a place out of the wind, which was very difficult, but we did figure it out. But it's going to be a nice show today, in my opinion. I always enjoy it. But, before we really get going, because we're back here in the studios, the cozy warming up studios of FanStreamSports.com, Ohio.
The heat is working.
Yeah, the heater is working, but I'm still keeping my jacket on because I got to make a public appearance today, which is right after we're done recording this, which will be fun. We'll see if I'm fresh after sitting in here in the what is this?
You'll be fine.
What do they call that? An air fryer? That's kind of what we're in. It gets the heat going and then circulates the heat, right? That's what this fan is doing in this place.
Then the AC comes on.
Yeah, and then the AC comes on.
The flipper.
Sounds like me. I can't eat it red hot right out of the air fryer. Right. But I wanted to ask you this, man. Ohio State's got the week off in terms of playing. It basically is, as we talk about in our little video at the end of the show here, it's an open date. It's not a bye, and they're definitely not off this week. But I wanted to ask you this.
Okay.
While the number one team is away, that's when the mice will play, right? Take Ohio State out of the equation right now. What is your top three? Take Ohio State, by acclamation, the number one team in the country. I think in the AP poll, it got 60 out of 66 votes. The other six went to Indiana, equally unbeaten Indiana. What is your top three? You want me to go ahead and give you mine because obviously you haven't done your homework?
I've done it. I think we will concur on two choices: Indiana,
okay,
Alabama.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Yes.
they're in my top 3.
And then my third
You're not going to say Mississippi State, are you?
no, would be
All
a
right.
shared experience between two upstarts, Ole Miss slash Vandy.
Really?
Really,
You don't have Texas A&M in your top 3.
something about them. Maybe I'm not familiar enough with them. They are a rugged team. Elko's even been now mentioned for the Penn State vacancy. He's an Eastern guy. I don't know why that works, but yeah. All right. I'm going with a wild card there.
I don't know how I would counsel Mike Elko when it comes to vacancies, because I'm telling you, I've always believed. I grew up in East Texas, born first 11 years in Alabama. My formative years were in East Texas, and like I said, several of my friends went to Texas A&M.
Okay.
It has always been a sleeping giant.
Concur.
Actually, more like a snoring giant, because it makes a lot of noise, but when it wakes up, it doesn't feel refreshed. If you follow me, sleep apnea. But man, if you could ever get everybody rowing in the same direction, as I said about Ohio State when John Cooper first showed up in the late 80s, and there was so much angst those first several years. And I wrote a column one time, boy, if everybody could just start rowing this galleon, which is Ohio State football, what it means, Buckeye Nation, in the same direction. Wow, what a magnificent boat it could be. And it's turned out to be that way definitely now. Texas A&M is exactly the same thing. They just are impatient because they've waited for so long. And just one little slip up here and there, you saw what happened with Jimbo Fisher. They thought he was the guy. And Ross Bjork, was the athletic director down there then. And by almost by order, he was, in essence, he just followed what the big money Dilbers down there wanted. They wanted to lock up Jimbo Fisher, and so they did after the COVID season. And then a couple of years later, Jimbo Fisher doesn't know his rear end from a hole in the ground, and get rid of him. Same people doing the talking. And so they had to come up with that buyout, which is really still to this day the biggest buyout in history. Although I think it's ongoing.
Astronomical.
As Jimbo Fisher said, I got ranches.
That's
right. I got ranches, man. But the bottom line is Jimbo Fisher is a good football coach. But Elko, I'm telling you, I think it's a real deal he's got going on. Number one, I really like him. And number two, I like the direction they've gone. And, the problem is they still aren't playing great defense. Nobody in the Southeastern Conference is playing great defense. The closest might be Alabama, but nobody is playing great defense, and that's why. But I have Indiana, Texas A&M, and Alabama, because Alabama, their last 4 wins are quite impressive. No matter where you fall on the Feinbaum meter or any other meter you use, the Feinbaum scale, to judge hyperbole, Alabama has been pretty impressive the last 4 weeks. The last 4 games of the season, and the gauntlet they ran and took care of business. So I would have those be. And then after that, the real quandary is, would it be Oregon number 4 in that group, or would it be Georgia? I would have Oregon.
I would too.
Oregon's lost 1 game this year to your number 2 well, in this scale, your number 1 team, which is Indiana. We're talking about a poll, ladies and gentlemen, Sans, Sans Ohio State. But I think Oregon has been quite impressive also. They've obliterated everybody except for Indiana, which went into Eugene and dominated the second half of that game. But in my opinion, the most impressive win of the first half of the 2025 season is what Indiana did at Oregon.
That's why Cignetti gets a new deal. I mean, they recognized how huge that was. And it's like, you're not going anywhere, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, anyway, but the bottom line, that would be probably my top 4 Sans Ohio State would be Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Oregon, and probably Georgia. But why not at least consider Vanderbilt, right? Why not at least consider Virginia and some others?
No,
right?
no. Vanderbilt for sure. Clark Lee and Kurt Signetti, my Lord, what they have pulled off at schools that were just never in the mix in terms of, top 25. It's incredible what he's done. And remember when he showed up and he said, I'm here to win the national, in so many words, I'm here to win that. We're here to win the national championship.
Well, why can't it be done there? See, the ladies and gentlemen, the college football landscape has been reshaped, but it takes a long time for some people to come to grips with it. But if you have the wherewithal,
that's it.
You can go out and get a team. Indiana decided they were tired of being doormats. They are now fluffy shag carpeting over there at Indiana. Vanderbilt, Clark Lee, they determined, an alum, they determined they were tired of being doormats, which they had been in between James Franklin leaving and Clark Lee showing up. They went out. They've got their NIL act together. Is it on the level of Ohio State or Alabama or Georgia or Texas Tech? Who knows? Who knows really what private schools are actually doing behind closed doors?
That's it.
But they were tired of that. And you get a few players in, you can have yourself a football team. Texas Tech, a great example. They're tired of sitting out there and being
watching the wind blow.
Yeah, sort of being the joke. We used to be the Southwest Conference, then it was the Big 12, and now they're in the Mountain, or not Mountain West. The what's the league? Big 12. Yeah, it's still Big 12.
Yeah,
but the bottom line is they were tired of that, and they've got some big money Dilberts. And Texas Tech had some big money Dilberts, like almost every other Texas school. And now they are where they are. They got upset the other day by Arizona State, and that was a hell of a game. But it took a hell of a game to beat them, and also them missing their starting quarterback. Imagine Ohio State without Julian saying right now. It would be a mystery how good Ohio State could be one way or the other. Alabama without Ty Simpson, be a mystery. But that's the point. You keep your quarterback healthy, you're going places. But these teams have put together rosters that are contenders. Whether they get to the promised land remains to be seen. But I've been very impressed, and I'd keep reminding people. Like I said, the landscape has changed. You just aren't paying close enough attention to notice it.
Yeah,
and
it's changed a lot.
And really, in this age, there's no excuse, as Kurt Signetti has proven, as Clark Lee has proven. There's no excuse for not being able to get your act together in a hurry. And that's why with James Franklin, he had lost yet again another top 5, top 10 showdown, and then to 2 also rans in the Big Ten. Boom, he's out of here. And they're looking for a head coach as we speak. And of course, Ohio State's next game is against Penn State, which I believe is also off this week, just like Ohio State is. Indeed. From playing a game. Yep. So in Ohio Stadium on November 1, it's going to be a big noon kickoff at noon. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, that's our revamped kind of look at the nation, the elite of the nation here halfway through the season. If you took Ohio State out of the equation, because like I said, Ohio State is the number 1 team in the country right now by acclamation. It's too bad acclamation doesn't have a D in it, because, boy, the D has played a huge role in all of that. But you know what? When I start looking at this Ohio State team right now, we start talking about the wide receiver core and how deep it is with Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate at the top of the list. I keep thinking back to when Zone 6 really took off. Remember, there's the nickname, I believe, Zach Smith brought to it way back in the mid-teens. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
But life is moving fast.
It is.
But
8 years later.
But the group that really caught your attention there in the late teens, middle to late teens, were the 3 amigos, which were Terry McLaurin, Paris Campbell, and Johnnie Dixon, who ended up sticking out. I think they all were here 3, 4, maybe 5 years together. And I called them, as I told Johnny, I called them the 3 graduados instead of amigos, because they all graduated before they left. But, during that transition that Ohio State had made with having to fire Zach Smith, but Zach Smith got the ball rolling for that.
He did.
There were really great receivers before these guys came along, but the three amigos caught your fancy, especially playing with Dwayne Haskins Jr. And they were, none of them were considered on the elite level like Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, but man, because they developed right in front of our eyes.
Right.
Two of them, Paris Campbell was a running back coming in who became a really good receiver of the scourge of the earth as far as Michigan was concerned.
That's right.
Still remember him running by Jim Harbaugh, and Jim Harbaugh's cap almost blew off, remember, in that one game. And then, of course, Terry McLaurin, wow, did he take a jump from his junior to senior, next to last year. Now he's one of the great receivers in the National Football League. And then Johnny Dixon, who, as we talk about here in a minute, my interview with Johnny Dixon, he basically came back from chronic knee pain, whatever you want to call it. They finally found the fix for that, and we'll talk about that with him in this interview. But the Zone 6 wide receiver U really picked up steam then. That's where the bedrock or the foundation was laid for what is now considered the best wide receiver school in the country perpetually.
Wide receiver U.
Well, let's get to my conversation, if you don't mind, Clay.
I think you'll cover it. I was going to ask you a question, but his injuries began as a collegian.
Well, no, he always had kind of chronic knee pain, but then it came back to haunt him. It's kind of like me. Whenever the weather changes, my right knee just goes crazy.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I probably should have had it looked at. I'm 71. Probably should have had it looked at 50 years ago. But back then, if they fixed your knee, they had to cut it wide open. But no. But he dealt with which limited his availability more than anything else. Sure. I mean, he could gut it out, but to be able to play. But along came Adam Stewart. You'll hear him talk about it, about the anguish he went through, and then suddenly he was a new man. But let's get to my conversation with Johnny Dixon. Oh my goodness! I mean, I had a lot of things penciled in for Johnny Dixon and what he would end up being when he grew up. Johnny Dixon, co-author of it looks like a pretty much best-selling or really good, well-selling book, John parentheses Y parentheses IE, a collaboration of you and Johnny Dawson, a young man who was born in Columbus, raised in Butcher Hollow, Kentucky, which is where Loretta Lynn was from. I don't know if you knew that or not. At least that's what her song said. And then ends up in the Marine Corps. But Marine Corps ends up in Iran. I mean, are you kidding me? But you guys chronicle in this book two different experiences, for the most part, with PTSD, with mental health challenges. Anybody can have these things, and they can come on you from different other obstacles, whatever you want to say, that are thrown in front of you as life goes on and stuff. But by the way, welcome back to the Tim May Show. And I never thought I'd say welcome back, author Johnny Dixon, to the Tim May Show.
Right. No, me neither, man. But thank you for having me again. It's been a journey. Took us a while to finish writing it and just getting all the details and, about our personal lives and, really getting into it. So it was a good journey, man. I learned a lot about him and I learned a lot about myself as well, So again, I didn't think I was going to be an author myself, but the opportunity was presented by Johnny and we ran with it. And, it's been something good for us, man. And for us, we hope that this book allows people to look at themselves in the mirror and see if they need that change or not. And we hope that we can be a little part of that. That's the biggest thing we want out of it, being able just to help the next person,
Yeah. I would think almost anybody would benefit from at least a checkup every now and then of that,
absolutely,
that side of your life, right? I mean, just when you think you got it going good, bam. Just when you think you got it going bad, bam. Good things happen to you and stuff. But it is to me, Johnny, with the interesting amalgamation is what I would call this of an idea, is the fact that, so long football has been equated to combat, except for the bullets part of it. But the way you put yourself in jeopardy, for your fellow player, the way you wear helmets because you're in jeopardy. I mean, except somebody's not shooting at you. But then again, verbal darts can hurt really bad too, right? But just
Absolutely.
as you and Johnny talked this out a little bit about, collaborating on something like this, did you find the the resemblances to each other and what y'all went through in many ways were so similar?
Yeah, we did. And like we didn't realize it, and
Yeah.
that our lives were so, on parallel with one another, and just going through it and having all our meetings, and we're talking, we're being vulnerable back and forth, man. You like, wow, we're both from totally different places, but like our experiences are so similar. And again, it's something you would never know unless you jump out there and you do something like this. And it doesn't have to be to a book, writing a book or
Yeah.
not, but just being able to talk to, somebody else, and, deep diving into their lives, and, who they are, where they're from. Then you realize, wow, we have so much in common, but if we never sat and talked it out, who would have known? So
Yeah.
yeah, we realized that, and it's like, wow. I remember one day we were at his house and we were just chilling in the hot tub, and we were just like, bro, what's your favorite song? And he was like, Dear Mama by Tupac. I'm like, wow, that's my favorite song too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just stuff like that, man. And it makes you want to know about somebody even more. So I think that's what led to us really getting down to this, because just realizing we had so much in common, we thought it'd make for a great story. So,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
think it really did. So,
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to ask you, by the way, I'm going to ask you a few questions about the current Ohio State wide receiver core. As I
okay.
like to say, Ohio State's had they've had these groups of receivers come through almost like a conveyor belt for these many years. But the three
Yeah.
amigos, based on how you guys were perceived coming in, I don't think any of y'all were perceived on the same level as like a Jeremiah Smith or a Carnell
Not even
Tate.
close.
But the way you and Paris Campbell was a running back in high school, and Terry McLaurin, it took him years to bloom, but oh my
Yeah.
God, right?
Yep.
He's feeding the homeless right out of his pocket now.
Man, out of his pocket.
Yeah.
Special.
But you too, the way you dealt with your knee problems and stuff, and then finally blossomed the three amigos, or as I called y'all your final year, the three graduados, because y'all had all graduated. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but it goes back to what we're talking about here right now. Life is not a straight line for a lot of guys.
Nope.
Most guys, it's not a straight line. From I come out of high school, I'm the best thing Dwyer High School ever saw at wide receiver, and now I'm going to go through Ohio State, catch 4,000 touchdown passes, and move on to the National Football League for a nice, profitable career. That's not the way life always goes for people,
Nope.
right?
Absolutely not.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, man, it's like you said, it's a battle. Like, no matter where you are in life, no matter what you're doing, something's going to at some point probably crash and burn, and then you got to find your way out of that.
Yeah.
So I think like I tell my players last week, I'm like, we were going through a little adversity. I'm like, it's not about who you are before the adversity, but can I depend on you once it hits? Who are you then? You know what I mean? Or are you that guy that is going to rise to the occasion, or are you just going to be another guy? So yeah, man, the adversity, when it hits, you got to find a way to battle out of it.
When Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson in Tokyo back in 1990,
Yep.
I was there. I covered that fight. I even called the upset in a column I wrote that day for the Columbus Dispatch. I said, that is if Buster stays away from that right uppercut.
Absolutely.
But I remember asking Tyson after that fight, I said, man, you've knocked out 30, 31 guys. What's it like to get knocked out? A little bit of a smart ass question, but not really. But he had never experienced this before as a professional. And he goes, listen, my friend, he goes, you don't judge a man by his victories. You judge a man by the way he comes back from adversity. This came out of Mike Tyson's mouth. That's why Mike Tyson had a depth about him that's, I think, obvious to everybody now. But it's just interesting coming back from adversity. By the way, when you talk about your players now, where are you helping coach?
I'm out here in Chandler, Arizona, school called Hamilton. I have one of these guys in my room right now. He's at 23 receiving touchdowns and through 7 games right now. He's lighting it up. He's on the pace to break like 3 records. So yeah, we just got to keep him on the straight and narrow and keep doing his thing. I say that to say this: Ohio State sent him an offer.
Wow. Yeah,
but no, he's incredible. He's a great kid. He works hard. You don't have to worry about him. He just does everything right. He's one of those kids, man. So
yeah. What's his name?
Yeah, Roy Oliver, the
Roy Oliver.
third. Yeah, he's a baller. Whenever you get a chance, man, go check him out.
I think he would fit right in with a guy named Quincy Porter. Those are cool names, Roy Oliver III
Yep.
and Quincy Porter. You know, I mean,
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. But then there was a guy named Johnny Dixon, ladies and gentlemen. And people don't know this, but I had an affinity for you, meaning I liked you almost from the first time we met. I watched you go through these struggles with your knees. I mean, and literally, you hadn't been kicked to the curb, but the curb was right there for you, right?
It was right there.
All you had to do was sit down and say, that's it. Or as they say in the SEALs or whatever, go ring the bell, right?
Yep.
You opted not to do that. You opted a couple of times to give it one more try, a couple of times.
Yeah,
right?
yep.
And it paid off for you, Johnny. You know, what was that? Give people a little bit of insight about how tough that was, though, on you, because you've always been a good-natured fellow, at least in my workings or interactions with you. But just how tough a time is that to come out of high school and thinking you're going to be that guy, and then have physical obstacles thrown in your way, with which, well, not of your making, if you follow my drift, but yet you had to deal with them. Just what dark place did you get to in that?
Oh man, I think I for sure was in the worst place I've ever been in my life. Because coming from high school, being a guy, being highly recruited, you know, you always think, yeah, man, I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna be that guy still. But you know, unfortunately for the injuries, that doubt just kept creeping in, and it stayed there for a while because, like you said, I kept giving it another try and another try and another try. It did get to that point where I left the team for, you know, a week or two, which isn't that crazy, but it probably felt like forever. It did to me. But I got to that point and I didn't know. I'm like, how can I keep trying to love something that just doesn't love me back? I'm trying everything I can. I'm working my tail off to get back to where I need to be, and it just wasn't working. Thank God and thank Coach Meyer and those guys for going out and hiring Adam Stewart, my guy Stewie, and he tried everything in the world, and we finally got down to it and we figured it out. So, man, thanks for him, honestly, because without Stewie, I don't think I would have ever played another snap.
Yeah.
But also the guys around me, you know, I had Paris, I had Terry, I had to lean on those guys. And I was in a very dark time, but they always checked on me and make sure I was good. And even like the staff, I remember Volt, he's like, just come back and coach, you know, come do something, be around the guys. And I'm like, I don't know if I can. You know what I'm saying? I don't. But and then we had a meeting. It was Coach Day just came in, so we had a meeting with Coach Day, Coach Myers, Zach, and they're like, you know, I think you should give it another try. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? You know what I mean? I came this far, so why not just keep going?
Yeah.
And I would say I took as Coach Meyer would say, I took the biggest swing I did that going into that fourth year, and it led me to having a good spring game. And I still tell people to this day, I'm like, a spring game might not mean a lot to you, but for me, it pushed my career to just start getting a little momentum, and day after day, just start getting better and better and better. And I'm like, you know, I can do this.
Yeah.
I think I can really do this, man. And just for me trying so hard and being around such a good band of brothers, like the brotherhood is real at that place that people don't understand. That thing is real. So I pushed because I knew that I was a guy that people would look up to if I was able to get out there and put my stamp on things. And for me trying and the people around me pushing me, it allowed me to try and try and try. And I finally broke through. So, yeah, man, it was amazing, man. The journey sucked at first, but at the end of the day, it was all worth it. I would say it was definitely worth it.
You never know who's observing.
You never do.
You never know who's observing and taking note and going, wait a minute, there's something in this guy, and this guy needs help also, et cetera. And now, you know, of course, you know, like you said, Urban Meyer brought in Adam Stewart. I mean, every time I walk by him, I go, touch my shoulder here. It's got a little bit of bursitis.
Absolutely.
And boom, I feel right. I feel better. That's our little thing, you know. And he could have, and since then he could have gone a lot of places. I mean, you know, I know you know that about him.
Easily. Yeah.
But he stuck it out at Ohio State too. He is part of the brotherhood, the way I look at it, like
Absolutely.
John Barnhouse and all these other guys. But
Yep.
but the fact that, Urban Meyer kind of recognized that and kind of got you up. And then of course Ryan Day has made, like, for example, the mental health aspect of things
Yes.
a centerpiece of his program in a lot of respects. I mean, I don't know if you saw the special on that CBS did over the past weekend for the game, but I mean, for you not to go have to hide in a corner and deal with this on your own, try to figure things out on your own, the mental aspect, the anguish, what a relief it is, I would think, for some of you guys, right? I mean,
absolutely.
You're expected to be a star, and when it doesn't happen, boom, go ahead.
What's next? But yeah, I would say they made it so easy. Every week, Dr. Grafe, he was in there. So one day I went to Stewie and I was like, dude, I need to talk to somebody. Like, I even went to Stewie. I probably talked to Stewie more about my problems and how I was feeling than anybody, because we were together every day, all day. So, and he was like, yeah, I could set it up. And they set it up, dude. And it really just, my shoulders did this when I got to talking, because it was like, wow, somebody different is able to listen to me, and I'm able to get so much stuff off, and it's such a relief. But yeah, they made it so easy to get that help, man. And for us, all we got to do is take that leap. And that's the hard part as men, as guys that are in combat sports, is you don't want to take that leap because you're a macho man. But like you probably heard a million times, being a man is going to get that help. Yeah. That's the real, like, it doesn't get more manly than that, in my opinion, going to talk about those problems. So yeah, man, they made it easy for us, and I'm overly joyed that they did that, because I think it helped way more than just me.
Yeah, absolutely. And in my mind, you're a success. I don't care if you never,
absolutely.
I don't care if you didn't catch 4,000 passes in a football league. You gave it your shot. You and I did a show a couple of years ago when you were still trying to get that next shot, when you were playing down in Birmingham with that, with the league, that, what do you call it? The USFL league. And, because you know what, you only get, it may last 5 years, it may last 15, but you only get that one run in life to try to be good at what you're really good at, which is playing football. And as Obi Stillwell, a former Ohio State football player, said to me one time a long time ago, he said, it's one of the few sports, if maybe not the only sport, where somebody else tells you you're done. You're done. I mean? Yeah. It ain't like going out in the backyard. You can't go out and get a pickup NFL level football game in your backyard and stuff. But I'm going to ask you about Johnny Dawson here in a minute, but you've moved on in your life. You've come to grips with things. You've got a nice little family going and everything else. And just talk about where you are now in terms of not just mentally, but physically. Where are you, and what's your pursuit now?
Physically, I'm good. I play a little flag football every Tuesday. I'm still in the gym, hitting it. And but I get my joy now from my family and being able to coach this next generation of athletes. Honestly, man, I was that guy that said, we would be in the receiver room and be like, Johnny, you're gonna be a good coach one day. I'm like, I'm not coaching. Leave me alone. It's not happening. Like, I didn't see that for myself. So somebody last year was like, come out, bro. Like, he was going for the head coach of JV, and he was like, you should come out. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? So I did it last year. I was a JV receiver coach, and this year I got moved up to the varsity receiver coach. So I get a lot of joy out of this, man. Just being able to help those guys. Like, they get to pick my brain. I'm like, I know I wasn't the greatest player ever, but I've seen a lot of good. I've seen a lot of bad. Like, I can definitely help you out. So yeah, I get a lot of joy from that. And then, like, with the cooking thing, that's keep the bellies full, Yeah.
Hey, let's get to the cooking in a minute. I wanted to ask you this. So do you ever just flip on the video of some of those mesh routes, some of those other things to show,
dude.
You know what? Okay. No, nobody's equating me to Jerry Rice or Chris Carter, but watch this. You understand what I'm saying?
You know what? My daughter, a lot of the mornings, she come out here and get on YouTube and type my name in, and she has this one video she loves watching. So I'm like, baby, you watching that video again? So I get that. Sometimes I go back and reminisce, myself. I have to. And if I need to show one of my players a certain thing, and I was able to do it, and I have the film for it, I'll show them that as well. So I think it helps, because I'm like, I'm not telling you something that I haven't done before. If I'm telling you it, I've done it. And I'm gonna let you know it works. If it doesn't work, don't do it,
Do something else.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but
Find his
it's good.
strength, right? Yeah.
Yep. It's good
Hey,
to have that video presence though, for sure.
yeah, real quick, Johnny. What's the biggest thing at Ohio State that you learned about just playing receiver? Before I ask about other things, but just about playing receiver at the highest level in college football. What did you learn most about what's expected? Is it accountability from play to play? Is it reliability? I mean, it's all of those things. I'm throwing all the answers out at once,
Yep.
right? But
Yep.
what did you just learn that gets you on the field, you know what I mean, on a consistent basis, I guess, at this level?
You just said it. I would say being consistent, and that's doing whatever. Like for us, Urban Meyer was. You got to be on special teams.
Yeah.
You go on that special teams. You play good there. That's how you find your way on the field. You're being consistent. Now, as in the receiver room, you have to be a good blocker because we ran a lot of bubbles and a lot of screens and a lot of things like that. Can you protect your brother?
Yeah.
So it was being reliable, being consistent with things like that. And I think a big one that people might not realize is being like very selfless. It's not about me. It's about my brother. And we knew we were 6 deep and everybody played. One game I might have 100 yards.
Yeah.
Next game I might not have a catch.
Yeah.
And we understood that, so I think being selfless and being a guy of character is really what pushes people in that room. And that's who they are now. Those guys came out here sometime in the summer, like a big group of the receivers, and they came to the restaurant, and I was just talking to them. I'm like, wow. And I had to text Hart, like, man, you have a really good group of wideouts, good character dudes, So I think a lot of attributes go into being a good Ohio State player because you have to set the example on and off the field.
Yeah. By the way, with the NIL money and now revenue sharing, they can afford to come out, right?
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute, but I wanted to ask you, but when those guys who all showed up, give people some insight. I wasn't aware of that story.
It was Tate, it was Brendan, and it was a couple more guys, a couple young bucks. I think number 11 was out there. I don't remember all their names.
Yeah.
I'm a little more closer with the older group.
Was Quincy Porter one of them? Does that name ring a bell?
I don't think I saw Quincy there.
Yeah.
82 was there. I can't remember his name. Forgive me, guys, if y'all see this. But it was about 6 of those dudes, and man, high character guys.
Yeah.
Like I had to text Hart, like, man, your guys are in here today, and you have a good group, man. Those dudes are solid, man, and yeah, I think that's being a dude of good characters was going to push you to thrive in that room.
See, that's what
and
stood
I
out
think
to
he
me.
has that group.
Yeah, that's what stood out to me about you and Paris and Terry McLaurin. Is y'all weren't just, I'm not sure exactly when this worm turned. And I'm not saying everybody else before y'all was bad guys, because that is far from the truth. I mean, they're solid, great guys. But, man, there's a different, kind of like the middle of maybe Urban's tenure. There's just been maybe before that, there's just been a different ilk of person. I don't know, on this Ohio State football team, and it's gotten better and better as it's gone along. I mean, when you watch Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith interact, I mean, they're just like you guys, all for one for all. They both want to get a lot of catches. Hey, who doesn't, right? But but then, like you said, the blocking aspect of things, the getting it, being able to communicate with like the media, I don't know how to explain it to people except you almost have to experience. It's just a good group of guys, and
it is.
And I would think you foster that when you're doing your coaching right now. You foster that aspect of things, right? Too of not it's not just being able to run fast and catch footballs and score touchdowns, but the aspect of being a good teammate and stuff. Do you find it easier to teach that right now, or are there a lot of individuals coming along? How would you describe it?
You know what? The game is so much different than I feel like when I played it, which was not very, long ago.
Yeah.
But I do tell, like, dude, like, first of all, football is only so much of your life. Outside of here, you got to be a good dude, when you're in class and when you're walking around, because football, you're always spotlighted,
Yeah.
But I have a senior right now, Montana Duncan, and he's like one of the most selfless guys ever. Like, his first game coming out, he had 100-something yards, 2 touchdowns, and he hasn't been able to get fed that much throughout the year. But he's never got an attitude. He always shows up. He tries his best every day. And he had a really good game last week. I think he like 5 for 70 or something like that with a touchdown. And I'm like, I'm proud of you because you never get down on yourself. You're never mad. You're never mad at the coaches. I always tell him your time is going to come, and when it comes, you need to make the plays. And he did it last week. So, and then I have Roy. He's, to me, the best player in the state. And we're in the fourth quarter. I'm like, come on, I want to get you 1 or 2 more. He's like, I'm good. Let those guys go. So from teaching it and then seeing it, like it's big, man, because you got to be like that in this game. You cannot be a selfish player, because I feel like that's going to leave you not part of the team.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be, you can't call it a brotherhood if you're not treating it that way,
Exactly. I just think
So,
Brian
yeah.
Hartline, one of the things he's definitely brought and fostered, and Zach Smith was doing this too with you guys,
Yep,
right? I mean,
absolutely
he was. And unfortunate the way that thing ended. But then Brian Hartline is just, he has, from what I understand, he's never coached me, but just straight up, hey, you got a smudge on your face. You know what I mean? I mean, he
Yep.
doesn't pull punches. I mean, no matter whether you're Jeremiah Smith or if you're like the fourth team guy that they're bringing along,
Absolutely.
it is. I would think it's so important to be so real with these guys, because
Have to be.
the game exposes unreal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's what Hart was from day one. We were in bowl practice, and they were allowed the older guys to come back and practice. And I think he was fresh off the Browns at that point. He was in there practicing and stuff, and he was like, I was hurt at the time. He was like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, knees and stuff like that. And one thing that I always remember about Hart, he was like, whatever you need, I'm here. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this dude doesn't know me from a can of paint. He doesn't know me at all.
Yeah.
And the fact that he told me something like that, it meant a lot. And he was another guy that was really in my corner, dude. And he pushed me. He'd call me, check on me, how I was doing in classes and stuff. And when he came part of the staff, I think he helped us get much better as well. He showed us a different part of the game. And I think that's why these dudes are so elite now, because he had a different look on it,
Yes.
And like you said, he is real as it comes. And that's why he's going to continue to get good players. He's going to continue to do what he's doing, because he's real. As long as you're real, man, I can do nothing but respect that.
Do you see head coach in him? Does he have that?
I think he does. I don't think he wants to. I think he wants to be the receiver coach, because I think once you go to head coach, it's hard to be that receiver coach how he was. But what he told us when we were playing, that he just wanted to be a wide-out coach. But things change, man.
Things change, man.
If he keeps recruiting the way he is and doing what he's doing, I hope he's next in line at Ohio State. Hopefully a long time from now, because Coach Day is freaking awesome.
Hey, before we move back to you, I want to ask one other thing. Ryan Day, what sets him apart in your mind? It's not saying he's better than Urban or he's better than whomever, but what sets him apart right now in your mind as a head coach?
I just think he's the ultimate players coach. And I remember in bowl practice, he probably doesn't remember this, but in bowl practice, it was like one of our last practices before we headed out to Cali. And I'm like, I pull him, like we were stretching. I say, Coach, when you take over this thing, you don't have to be nobody else. Just be you. And I think him being him, and I think he's a lot more fierce now. And he was fierce back then, but now, when you're the man of that thing, and Ohio State fan base is crazy. You have to be a little more fierce. And but I think he's the ultimate players coach, and dudes just really enjoy playing for him because he cares.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Herb cared too. Herb is one of my favorite people of all time. But I think they approached it differently. But two freaking great guys, man. Herb was another reason I came back, because he cared. And if he didn't care, he would have let me just, get out of here. Yeah. Like he pushed me to, exactly. And I wasn't giving him nothing in return at that point. So he didn't have to allow me to come back, so. Yeah. Big ups to both those dudes, man. Great man. I talked to Herb not too long ago. He calls me every blue moon now, and we chop it up. But yeah, man, two great dudes, man. And if I can go back and play again, it will be for both those dudes, So
I was going to say, I mean, the point is, great coaches understand who get them there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And who keeps them there.
Yep.
And it's you guys.
Yep.
You've moved on, except for flag football now and coaching it. You've moved on from playing football now, right? Am I right about that?
Yes, sir.
About tackle football, where they wear pads and helmets,
absolutely,
because they need to. They need airbags out there too. They just haven't invented that yet. But your wife, y'all have a restaurant, but you've got a new thing starting. Go ahead and give me some background on that, and then I want to ask you a little bit more about Johnny Dawson.
Okay, yeah, my wife is the manager of a big brunch spot out here. It's called Sugar Jam, and I do a few things in there. I bartend, I cook, bar back, like I just do a lot of stuff in there. So right now we're in the process. The owner of that one, we're having a new spot. It's called Soul Fire, and it's going to be 2 doors down from Sugar Jam, and they're right now working on it, getting the inside all mixed up. So we should be up and running in December, I want to say. So yeah, that'll be my next venture, and I'll still be coaching and still giving my time. Maybe I'll do a little training as well on the side too sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a little bit of everything, man. And
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been good.
Still taking photos?
And it's been a while, man. I haven't really had that much time, honestly.
Yeah.
Every now and then, we were just actually in California this past weekend, and I got a couple.
There you go. But
yeah.
but whether these restaurants, where are they in Chandler? Where are they located?
Scottsdale, North Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, we're in Scottsdale. I mean, Scottsdale goes from like almost Mexico to almost Utah. Scottsdale's the longest city I've ever seen.
I didn't know that.
No, I'm just saying. That main boulevard, Scottsdale Boulevard, goes. It seems like it goes 40 miles. But what part of Scottsdale are y'all talking about?
We're in North Scottsdale right now.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
All right, I'm with you. Hey, last thing, you and Johnny Dawson get hooked up, and who did y'all decide to do this project yourself, or did somebody else eavesdrop or something one day and go, you know what, that'd be a hell of a book?
No, Johnny was the first one to get into it, and he was like, I wouldn't want to do this story with anybody else. So yeah, it took a while for us to get started because it was just so much, and they were like, write out your life. I'm like, my life is long. I need somebody to ask me some questions and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was a process, but yeah, it was Johnny's idea, man, and I'm beyond blessed for him to choose me, as good friends. So yeah, I definitely appreciate him and on this journey because it's dope to. Another funny story, Coach Meyer, he was like, you need to write a book one day and you need to write out your life and just how crazy it was. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm not writing a book, and he said that, and we're here today, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer's inspiration.
Man, some people don't like him, but I'm like, if you don't know him, you cannot judge him. Like, I know the man personally.
Bingo, buddy.
Great freaking dude, man.
Yeah.
And he cares. Like, he's a football coach at a big university, so he has to be strict and he has to do things a certain way, and you got to respect that.
Yeah.
That's why he was one of the most winning college coaches ever.
Yeah.
Because he did it the way he did it.
Now he's followed by a guy who's 77-10, the greatest winning percentage so far.
Exactly.
You got to be kidding me. But real quick, I want to ask you this, Johnny, before we go. What did you? I know you know about yourself, but Johnny Dawson, did he give you an insight into these people who either volunteer? Now they volunteer. It's an all volunteer armed forces. Back when I was growing up, back in the 60s and 70s, of course, there was the draft until 1972. But did he give you an insight about, I'm playing football and I'm putting my knees and arms, and sometimes you can put your life in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
Not like these guys. I mean, my daughter's boyfriend, and we'll see how serious it finally gets, is a captain in the Marine Corps, and he's a different dude, man. I mean, cool guy to talk to, but a different dude. Would you say that about Johnny Dawson? That when you cut to the chase, he's kind of a different guy, meaning his allegiance, his band of brothers, etc.
Yep. You can always tell how much it means to him because he's lost a lot of people. And that the band of brothers that they created while serving and, going through their processes is still strong.
Yeah.
Like, he still takes trips with his buddies, if, I say if one passed away, they all get together and, celebrate that life. So you can tell that he cared for it and it's still a part of him, I would say, But outside of that, he's the goofiest person I know.
Yeah.
We sit and we laugh all day and, we joke, we have a good time. But when it's time to lock in, you can tell like he still has it in him that where he can just boom and lock back into what's the main focus at the time.
I guess.
But man, Johnny's a great dude, man. he told me the night that I didn't get drafted, he was like, "Wherever I go in this life, you're going with me." And you know, he meant every word of that, and that's why I appreciate him so much. And that's from the bottom of my heart. Like, I'll forever have that brother for life just because of the person he is.
Absolutely. You never
You
know who
know,
you're going to run into, right? As long as
you
you have
never
open
know.
arms,
You never
you never
know.
know who you're going to run into and
You never know.
change your life, et cetera. By the way, you can
Yep.
always remind him of you running mesh routes and stuff and catching touchdown passes. It's something
Oh, he
I'm
knows,
sure
man.
he's
He's one
never
of the
done.
biggest Ohio State fans ever, man. And
Gotcha.
another thing that bonded us was he went through a lot of injuries as well while
Yeah.
serving.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so yeah, it makes it that much. I'm telling you, it was so crazy when we just saw the parallels in our lives and how similar we really are, and we're from completely different backgrounds.
Yeah.
You'll never think somebody like that, where they're from, that you have so much in common. And again, we encourage people to go out there and be different, man. Go out there. We would have made a knife one of the first, like the second or third time we met, and we just bonded so much over something like that, you know,
Yeah.
shotguns and just,
Yeah.
you know, doing guy stuff. And,
Yeah.
you know, and we're here today, man. And I appreciate that guy, you know, because he's looked out for me, and he makes sure I'm good. And our families are close, man. Whenever we get to spend time together, it's the best time ever.
Yeah.
Literally the best times ever. So
Everybody
yeah,
needs somebody you can tell your almost deepest, darkest too, right? I mean, yeah,
yes,
everybody needs that
yes.
guy. And
Because also in our meetings, he had to tell me some stuff that his wife didn't even know.
right,
You know, like
right,
that's vulnerability at its highest.
right. That's
So that,
protection too, right? I mean,
yep,
I don't want her to know. I mean,
yep,
we all have stories like that, but
yep,
but but boy, the stories you two guys can tell, it's great in
yep.
this book, man. Hey, to hold that book up one more time and tell people where they can find this, Johnny.
You can find this here on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Those are two the big ones. I know a lot of people go on Amazon and grab it.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, if you need to get a little more in my lives and Johnny's life, we have it all in here. Hopefully, this is a help book, so hopefully,
yeah,
if you put your hands on it, it helps you in some way. If it's a story in there that you can that you're familiar with, or something that resonates within your life, let us know, man. And however we can help, my DMs are always open. Johnny's DMs are always open. So yeah, man, I hope this can help at least one person. It doesn't have to be
right.
a million people. If it can help one person at a time, and it just keeps growing, that's what we wrote it for, man, because we went through a lot, and we want to share that experience with you. And if you have similarities, or if you're just going through something, you know, go grab you one. Go grab somebody one, you know.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Dixon, a multi-time appearer on the Tim May Show, the Tim May podcast, etc. Johnny, thanks for joining me again, man, and we'll hook up again. You know that, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me again, man. It's always a pleasure, man.
You know, you could tell maybe you couldn't. I have an affinity for with Johnny Dixon. I don't know if it's with or to Johnny Dixon, because I just I've liked everything about him ever since I've known him. And he's a cool customer who's endured a lot of challenges, like I said, physically and emotionally, mentally, all those Lees. He's dealt with them, and it's always cool catching up with him. I wish him and his family well too. I mean, they're hooked up with that restaurant chain out there in the Phoenix area, and of course, Ohio State is up playing in a Fiesta Bowl of some sort this year in the playoffs. I'm not sure where the Fiesta Bowl fits, but it'll be good to get out there and get in his restaurant, just show up and spend a couple of dollars, because Johnny Dixon's one of my favorite people. I think it's shown through. You know, speaking of showing through, you're one of my favorite people now.
Good peeps. Good peeps.
And we, you know, like
Sure.
we talk about in this next
Installment.
installment, we found a place to hide from the wind. And I think we talked about it at the very beginning, but it was the Ohio State lacrosse stadium. And, you know, it was during this open week for Ohio State, not having to play a game. There's still things to talk about. Where do they need to go? What do they need to work on? What do they need to improve? I know first thing on the charts, the running game, obviously.
We tackled that.
They've got it,
as Wisconsin did last weekend.
Yeah, so to speak. So that was excellent. That was an excellent. We need an instant replay of what you just said. Say it again.
A snippet.
Yeah, just do it again. You said we tackled. Go ahead.
Just as Wisconsin did in Camp Randall
No. Say
Stadium.
we tackled that just as Wisconsin did. Go ahead now.
We tackled that just as Wisconsin did.
Wow. Pete and repeat. Ladies and gentlemen, Clay Hall may be at his finest.
That's my 4 words for the day.
Well, let's
move on.
Let's get to our outdoor conversation about Ohio State
with no win
in this open date week.
We found a nice little cove here out of the wind, right? We're here in a nook and a cranny. Is this a nook or a cranny of Ohio State's really nice lacrosse stadium?
No question. It is, and it's a beautiful day. And we're here to talk open date, correct?
Yeah, open date.
There's no bye, and there's
nothing off about this week.
Not at all.
For the Buckeyes in terms of practice. They don't play this week, so they'll have the weekend off, maybe get to go back and see their old hometowns and walk around as the
high school buddies,
part of the number 1 team in the country and what that all means. But the bottom line is the work is far from done for this Ohio State football team here. 7 games into the season, sitting 7-0, sitting number 1 in the country. What could be better? Well, a lot of things that could be better.
Yeah.
I'm talking about what could be better in your life. But what could be better as far as this football team is concerned.
Yeah.
Obviously, the run game popped right up. So let's cover the what could be better part.
Okay.
And we'll talk about the part that maybe we think this team is maybe head and shoulders above
the rest.
A lot of the rest. Let's put it that way and stuff.
Okay.
Definitely, if there was a team picture of the 131 teams or whatever in the FBS division, Ohio State would be the tallest and standing in the middle of the back row. Right?
It's him.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, there are still things for this team to work on. And number 1, go ahead and give me your number 1.
Well, last week they averaged 3.5 a rush. Now,
talk about it, Wisconsin.
But 3.5 will get you a first down every time. So it's not horrendous. But
that's where Woody messed up.
But
3 yards in a cloud of dust. You're punting on 4th. If you're that conservative that you're running every down,
3.5,
then you're punting on 4th down, right? 4th and 1.
If you go 3.5, you'll get a first down.
You're there, baby.
But there are people bubbling up, as Tim likes to say. Isaiah, oh my goodness, Isaiah West is coming on, 9 carries, 55 yards. You can tell they see something there, giving this kid a lot more reps in that game at Camp Randall than he had all the previous 6 games.
They see something. That's kind of like
and
me seeing the sun and saying the sun is hot. I mean, a lot of people can see that Isaiah West has a little bit of a knack to him, and to find the crease, to get that little extra yard. He has a burst to him also. Right along with Bo Jackson, the same thing we've been saying. A lot of the same things we've been saying about Bo Jackson, but it's interesting, like you said, Clay, to have 2 freshmen rising now when you really need them the most. It's not out of the ordinary. Obviously, Archie Griffin in 1972.
There you go.
Rose when they needed him most. J.K. Dobbins, another great example. Maurice Clarett in 2002, who came along at exactly the right time. Obviously, he got banged up as that year went on, but was part and parcel of what they did and were successful with running the ball. But here's the thing. We're talking about the running game like it's the running backs. And a great running back can make a lot of people look really good, right?
Sure.
Herschel Walker made that Georgia offensive line look even better than it was. You can say that, like I've always said, I would like to have been Jesse Owens' track coach.
Just to watch.
Well, I mean, I'm coaching the fastest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Just don't get in his way. Make sure he has 3 hots and a cot, And
right.
But the interesting thing is what we're going to see maybe develop in this off week. Maybe not. Maybe it'll just be a ongoing competition at right guard for that right guard spot. We saw Tegra Shabola struggle a little bit at times. It only takes 4, 5, 6 plays where you don't look good for you to have a bad game as an offensive lineman.
Well, that's when Josh Padilla goes in.
Yes, but so they've had Josh Padilla stepping in for him on occasion. He went in there early at Wisconsin. He's played a little bit in earlier games. Obviously, they had Ethan Anianwa, the celebrated transfer from Rice, who we all thought was going to be the starting left tackle on this team. He has seen some time in earlier games at right guard. Now I'm not really sure where he even fits into the picture. But the bottom line is, if you look at this run game, it's so much more than just the plays that are being called. It's how the plays are being executed.
No doubt. I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road. And Philip Daniels is that guy, as we were talking. We thought he was a little bit on the fringe, and then he comes and grabs that right tackle spot. And
I think for the most part, he's played very well.
No doubt about it. And so a little work in the open week to settle things on the offensive line.
Yeah, but I want to ask you this: how acute is that? You watched the game on Saturday.
Well,
they've got to get. They had fewer than 100 yards. Now they were running at the strength of Wisconsin's defense, which was its defensive front and its linebackers, without a doubt.
That was the strength of the entire team.
But the point was, those are the teams you definitely want to go man up and show what you're all about as a run game. With that said, the approach offensively was right out of the Tim May playbook, which was, when in doubt at all, air it out.
Air it out.
And
do what you do best.
I really like the fact they threw 42 passes in that game, came out throwing, ran the ball one time in the first touchdown drive.
Yeah.
Julian Sayin was on point. So were Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, Max Clare, the tight end. I like the way they played because they just kind of flex their muscle. You know what? You can line up and take this away. We still got this. But the run game, as Brian Hartline said going into the season, and he said many times along with Ryan Day, you've got to get this run game thing straightened out where you can lean on it a little as this season plays out.
That's it. So you don't go to the state up north wondering if you can get 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, that the line will move bodies and you will find that first down when you desperately need it in a tight game, because that will, I think it's going to be another one of those. We still got 4 more before we get there. But I think the open date has come at a perfect time. You're bookending Penn State, Michigan, and it's a 5-game, sprint to the finish.
Of the regular season.
Of the regular season.
And if you win that sprint, then you play the very next week in Indianapolis for the Big Ten Championship, a place where used to be Ohio State's home away from home in December, the first weekend of December. They haven't been there since 2020. Big run coming here. You can tell Ryan Day, because he's brought it up a few times, and it's on their charge, on their mantle, whatever you want to call it. They want to win the Big Ten and then move on. This has been that way forever here since I've been covering Ohio State, and that really hasn't changed. But
it's odd that it's been missing, that we haven't gone to Indy.
Yes, it has been. Although some respects it might have benefited them last year.
There you go.
To lick their wounds then come back and take care of Tennessee and 3 other highly ranked teams on the way to the national championship. I want to get to this too. As we're sitting here in this off week, I'm going to have the privilege, if I get there, you never know.
You'll get there.
You never talk about something in the post tense until you've actually been there and seen it.
Okay.
But I'm going to see Alabama, maybe the hottest team in college football right now, the way it's beaten 4 straight ranked teams, play at South Carolina, a beleaguered South Carolina team this week. So I'll be giving you a report on that when I get back. Me and my baby brother, who's going to be 68, Tony, we're going to be, this is one of those moments.
Couple of buds.
One of those moments like you with your brother, you can hook up and have a good time. But I'm very curious to watch Alabama live and see how good it is and make my own judgments. But with that said, there's no passing attack in the country that rivals Ohio State's, in my opinion, obviously from a consistency standpoint, when your quarterback's basically completing over 80% of his passes, and you've got 2 receivers, the ilk of Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, and the way Ohio State exploited that.
And it doesn't drop off after that.
But the way Ohio State exploited that
no question.
Last week, it just shows you where their thinking is, where they're heading. And like you just said, you brought up who's the guy you're going to bring up there who's rising.
Yeah, Quincy Porter.
There you go. How many times has that name come out of my mouth?
Yeah, no doubt.
In the last 6 months.
He had some nice catches. Was it 1 or 2?
He had a couple really nice catches.
Yeah. So he's your 4th guy. Brandon Ennis, as we pointed out, is that special teams guy, punt returner, but he's the third receiver, sometimes in the slot. And
He had a touchdown last week.
tremendous catch, but maybe an even better throw to the rear of the end zone. On the move was Julian Sand, who's just, my gosh, 36 of 42, 390, no, almost
370. I think it was
Yeah, almost-
393, 394.
Yeah,
whatever it was.
almost 400
Just
yards.
don't call him late for the snap.
He is everything that he was cracked up to be and more.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And the interesting thing, I mean, the way he keeps finding tight ends at critical times. I even told him to his face, we've talked about this before, a quarterback that understands the importance of a tight end to the overall health of an offense. That's very valuable for Ohio State going forward. I know some of those plays are designed to go to the tight end, but a lot of them aren't.
Yeah.
But you find that guy because he's almost always
Open.
going to be open. We'll see where that goes. And then special teams wise, go ahead though.
I was just thinking about tight ends in the NFL and how Dak relies on Ferguson, how C.J. Stroud relies on Dalton Schultz. You find a guy, I mean, he is their leading receiver, and they've got C.D. Lamb and they've got George Pickens. But Ferguson, my goodness, he caught another touchdown pass, leads the team.
It's not rocket chemistry.
There you go.
I mean, it's like throw to the guy that has the better chance to being open at certain times. And Tom Brady lived on that credo.
No.
Tom Brady,
and they're always,
Brady the GOAT.
and you can see them because they're so big. It's not a willowy 6'1", 195. It's some 6'4", 255 pounder sometimes.
Let me tell you though, Jeremiah Smith's like 6'3", 6'4", about 230. He's
he's
a
that
big
heavy?
man.
He is.
And Carnell
No
Tate's
question.
right there height wise. He's not quite as thick maybe as Jeremiah Smith, but he's right there. You're right though. It's I mean, that's been my credo forever is when in doubt, air it out to the tight end because he's almost always open.
Isn't it interesting how Carnell Tate kind of maybe had that coming out at Wrigley Field and how he's just risen, and now it's almost 1A and 1B now because of Tate's ability and to go chase and go high point that ball and bring it in for scores.
As I reminded people, he was the Jeremiah Smith of his class.
That's right.
So this stuff was always expected of Carnell Tate sooner or later. But the way he has really blossomed this year, the way he's become I don't call him the alternate choice. A lot of times he's the first choice. But that's why this offense is going to be so tough for teams to handle down the road. We knew this could be the case, but they've got to get the running game rolling.
That and the special teams, just some tweaks.
Yeah.
Make those field goals. They gave up a fake punt that went for a first down, and
well, the guy was there to make the tackle, but he didn't make the tackle.
That's true.
And of course, defensively, what more can you say? As I've talked to people about this a lot, I mean, you like what Matt Patricia has brought to the table, but there were already some nice things on the table for Matt Patricia to deal with, to work with, not the least of which is a coaching staff that includes Tim Walton and James Laurinaitis, who James Laurinaitis was a longtime player in the National Football League. Tim Walton was a player and then a longtime coach in the National Football League.
Right.
So they're all putting their ingredients into this thing. And then you got Larry Johnson, still considered the GOAT of defensive line coaches, and Matt Guerrieri, sharp as anything you've ever put your finger on. I mean, extremely sharp young man.
Yeah, he's rising.
But the way they're working, I'm telling you, this is a very intelligent group of defensive players that they're working with. So when you have all that going for you, you can go places.
Yeah.
And I'm just so impressed by how sometimes the defense, you can see them making adjustments on the field before they ever get back to the sideline.
On the fly.
On the fly. You get burn me here, burn me there. Okay, we'll turn that stove off. And I think they've done led, of course, by Caleb Downs, but also Sonny Styles. And the way Matt Patricia has worked with Arvell Reese, but then the way Arvell Reese has worked that special assignment.
Yeah.
The lack of just impulsive, knee-jerk reactions to plays, but the patience he brings, followed by as aggressive a linebacker as there might be in the country right
He's
now.
gone and then he's back. I mean,
It's a marvel. Now, whether that can hang on, we'll see. We haven't seen this defense really be desperate yet, right?
right in a hole, backs to the wall. Got to get a stop right here.
Well, against Texas, they had to do that.
True that.
So there you that blew up that example you brought up there.
Well,
big man.
yeah, you're right. They had a goal line stand that was everything in that game. No,
Yes.
no question about it.
Well, at least he kept it from being a tie.
right. Yeah.
But the bottom line is they have that was their first bad out. But Washington showed them a few challenges. They took care of that. Illinois showed them a few challenges. They took care of that, and it gave up pretty much the backups gave up a late touchdown to Illinois, and it looked like maybe the hurry up hurt them a little bit. You know, nothing hurt them at Wisconsin the other day except for maybe the last possession by Wisconsin of note when they were also going against the backups who are still maybe learning that little bit of patience and aggression. I call it PAG. That's my euphemism, my acronym for it. But the PAG, you've got to have the patience, but aggression is a hard, fine line to walk. But man, when you watch Caden McDonald play, when you even Tywan Malone now, the way he's playing in the middle, and those defensive ends, Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry, they're making sure the cage stays tight.
Yeah.
And then go. And
Caden Curry has just really shown me. I didn't know he could be that player. He has become dominant at the end position. As somebody pointed out, his numbers this year are almost All-American status. That's what this guy was waiting to do, perhaps. Played a lot last year, no question about it. But it's just great to see 92 making his mark with the rest of those guys. And it's Penn State. I mean, the other three, I know you take them one at a time, but it's Penn State and Michigan to me. Purdue has struggled. Rutgers has struggled. UCLA is certainly bubbling up.
UCLA has this mojo back. We'll see this weekend. They're playing Is it Indiana?
They are.
They're playing Indiana.
That's your big nooner.
That will be an interesting. Will the bubble burst for UCLA? We're going to find out. They've obviously been riding an almost Cinderella existence since they fired their coach, elevated a couple of coaches, and you see what a difference it's made. Not the least of which was Rick Neuheisel's son, Jerry Neuheisel, is calling the plays for him now, and the Skipper guy,
Timmy Skipper.
Yeah, he's proven his worth before, and now everybody's seeing it. They may have found their head coach.
That's it.
But you've got you don't just have one game to figure that out. Now he's got more than half a season for him to prove himself as being worthy of that job. In a year when everybody's looking for the next Nick Saban, Urban Meyer,
that's right,
dare I say Ryan Day, Kirby Smart, when they're looking for that next guy, UCLA might have that guy because there's no doubt about the change in philosophy, but also the change in that locker room. Agreed?
And the crowd in the Rose Bowl, you can hear them now. There's actually an atmosphere when the Bruins put on the gold helmets again. So.
Exactly. But anyway, let's get back to the studio now, man. But I'm getting a little chilly here. This wind's actually blowing a little bit more brisk than I thought it would be. What about you?
You can toss back to yourself.
You got on that sweater vest, that Jim Trussell kind of throwback sweater.
Yeah.
Sweater, whatever you want to call it.
Did you hear that story he told the other day about the sweater vest?
No.
They said, well, what do you wear on game day? And he said, whatever you tell me to wear, and blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, you're going to be a sweater vest guy. He goes, oh, okay. First game, 95 degrees in the shoe with the tie on and the whole thing. And he said, who told me to wear this sweater vest?
Yeah, exactly.
But it became such an iconic
The little voice in his head told him to wear it. Remember the little guy who worked for the Ohio State student radio who wore the sweater vest? He looked like dressed up like Jim Trussell every game. That was an interesting thing. I'll never forget Trussell walk into one post game and he's sitting there, the kid's sitting there, I think he was sitting next to me, and he goes, hey, I like that look, or something to that effect. But anyway, he made it famous.
What happened to that kid?
When you make a look famous, I don't know, but he knew every Super Bowl score going back to
I know
the beginning
who you're
of time.
talking. Yes,
and was an interesting character.
It just hit me,
especially when he had a little, maybe one or two beers.
I think that young man might have interned for me
He might have.
several years ago.
He was an interesting young man. But
He
if
was.
you're out
All
there, if you're out there, drop us a note here at the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall. But hey, let's go back inside the studio now.
Clay, it is always a pleasure
Yes.
being on with you.
Inside,
and-
outside, we got game.
We've got a conversation coming up for our Friday show with Bill Rabinowitz, a guy I used to work with closely at the Columbus Dispatch. We covered Ohio State together. And, he's written, this will be his third book, I think, on Ohio State football. And very interesting. I don't want to give it all away, but we've got a conversation coming up with him on our Friday show leading into the weekend, which I think could be compelling. It'll be up to Bill to make it compelling, right?
Yeah.
But the Buckeyes got on last year's run to the championship, and pretty much centers on the run to the championship. But what it really shows is Ohio State got its act together in the NIL transfer portal era, and also how they overcame adversity last year, not the least of which was losing for the fourth straight year to the team up north, Michigan. We're allowed to say that. Members of the team aren't. But how they rebounded from that. It was not just a season on the brink, but maybe a coaching tenure on the brink for Ryan Day. If they hadn't come out like they did against Tennessee in that first game of the playoff run, who knows what we'd be what we'd be covering now, or who we'd be covering now. So
and I think that's why that meeting after the debacle in the shoe against the team up north against Michigan, and I know we will delve into that.
Yes,
that's where, because it was a new team when they showed up in the shoe on a cold December night. Yes,
definitely cold December night. We did our tailgate show out along Lane Avenue, and I think the temperature was 18.
Yeah, I hope you had the long drawers on.
Yeah, and it was really funny because I definitely always do in those kind of situations. But it was just an interesting evening because Ohio State came out in Knoxville North, as the Tennessee fans wanted to call Ohio Stadium, or Neyland North, excuse me, and put them away. That was going into that game. I was on the Paul Feinbaum show, and he was asking me about what I thought. I said, well, he was talking about all these Tennessee fans that were going to end up coming to Ohio Stadium, finding ways to get in. They had found a loophole in the ticket thing and the ticket availability and all these people. I said, Davy Crockett, way back in 1836, left Tennessee with a band of volunteers, and they trekked west. I'm just paraphrasing what I said, but pretty much what I said. They trekked west to the great state of Texas. They helped Texas win its independence. They went to the Alamo.
That's right.
And Paul said he goes, oh, no, don't say it. Don't say it. I said, yeah, none of them came back. And we're laughing at the irony. We're not laughing at the fact that they gave up their lives for the fight for the great independence of the great state of Texas, which ended up for the great country of Texas, which ended up being the Lone Star State of the United States of America. But 10 years later, but that is what it is. Bottom line is what a monumental win, what a monumental run the Buckeyes went on from there. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. Looks like, as are you, correct?
No question about it. I want
probe.
There's probably some hooks in there, some triggers, some the compelling part of that meeting, because I read a social media excerpt today, and it just was I'm a little confused by what teed off the team and kind of
the offense, the way the offense didn't play, the way the offense plan was put together,
and it wasn't
that's what teed off everybody.
It wasn't so much play. I'm sure there was some player calling out, but also some coach calling out.
Yep.
And Ryan Day was sort of called on the carpet by the team. Obviously, we will dissect that, and we'll hear more.
That's what happens when you have a mature team of grown-up men. Now they want answers just like everybody else. But I told Ryan Day to his face. I did a podcast interview with him back in March, I think it was, and I said, basically that meeting was a stroke of genius in the sense of took a deep breath and swallowed hard and went in there to meet these guys because you knew what was at stake. Your team, this team was at stake. Forget about his career or anything else. This team deserved better, and he knew it deserved better. And so how, in the old days, as I brought it with him, Varsity Blues, the movie Varsity Blues, where the, John Voight character wouldn't change, right?
Right.
And it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to understand final analysis, ladies and gentlemen. It's the players that play the game. And not that you let them run the asylum, but you let them have a call in how the asylum is run, for one another term. And that takes a lot of guts. And in my opinion, a lot of smarts by a head coach to understand that, especially in this transfer portal happy, NIL happy world. And in my opinion, that was a great week and a half of coaching that Ryan Day and his staff did, in terms of not just the X's and O's, but how they went about getting this team, allowing this team to gel together again on its own.
I would call that unlocking greatness.
Yeah.
They found it, and it was on display for a month or better.
Yes.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
Incredible for a man who was maybe on the verge of a firing. I don't know. We'll never know.
Yeah.
How tenuous that was, but
one thing had to happen before you got to that. So that one thing did not happen.
It did not.
And before you got to even the conundrum of, do you or don't you, in terms of Ross Bjork and the people above him. Ross Bjork really likes Ryan Day. Ross Bjork thinks Ryan Day is the man for the era. And I think it's been proven over and over again, the way Ryan Day runs things. Hey, we'll get into that conversation with Bill, because we're going to talk about more than just his book. We're going to talk about this team, where it sits right now. He's now on Substack. He has left the Columbus Dispatch, took early retirement or whatever you call it. And he's now on Substack. And so we'll get into what even Substack is. And maybe we ought to get on Substack. I keep thinking of Denny's, the small thing of pancakes. Yeah, exactly. But, he'll set us straight. But you know what? For Clay Hall, I'm Tim May. This has been the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall. And until next time, we'll see you then.